Hello! This painting is going to be inspired by houseplants. I don't have a specific houseplant in mind. I'm kind of picturing maybe some string of pearl, those great big monstera leaves, different shapes, different shades of green. And really it's not going to look like a bunch of houseplants, but it's just going to look inspired by it, hopefully. So we're going to go from this to this. And I don't know how we're going to get there, but join me for the journey. So I'm going to start with, because I know that I'm looking at a finished piece with a lot of greens and earth tones, that you know, I think I'm gonna do my first layer in these complementary. I've got a coral, a light pink, a bright red, and a fluorescent yellow for funds. I don't know if I've ever used that fluorescent yellow. Maybe, I'm not sure, can't remember. So that's how we're gonna get started. I've got a nice big brush, and I'm just gonna start grabbing colors and making marks on my paper, because this part of my process is really just about getting started, keeping moving, not really making any plans other than the intentions that I set for the piece. So, which were pretty basic. I think if I were to be more intentional about what I wanted the piece to do for me, you know, I'd say I want a collection of shapes and lines and patterns. I'd like one or two clear focal points, some movement, and yeah, I think that's my intention for the piece in whole. You know what? I am really liking the way this fluorescent yellow is poppin'. This is really cool. I had such a good time with my first abstract painting video that my mind has been buzzing with ideas. I really like the start of this. This is fun. And all sorts of ideas, like, you know, what could I be inspired by? What locations could I kind of put myself into the surroundings of? Like, should I go into the middle of a city and set up a table and like set up this whole setup and see what happens as I'm engulfed in the surroundings, you know, of concrete and buildings and people, and, you know, see what happens to an abstract piece. I think like doing plein air or you know, urban art or just different locations has traditionally been, you know, something that is reserved for traditional style landscapes or cityscapes, depending on what you're doing. And I think it'd be really cool to take this kind of work out and see how it evolves and resolves, and I think it'd be very interesting. So if you watched my first video, you'll see that, or you'll note that things are shaping up a little differently than the first one. My marks are different because I don't quite remember how I started, and I am just going for an overall concept of getting these colors onto the paper, allowing my intuition to just sort of tell me where marks need to go. I think this is looking really interesting. So it's some textures set up right here early on in the beginning. Okay, I think that's a good first layer. I'm going to make sure this is dry before we carry on. Okay, so now that I've warmed up and kind of thought about what it is I'm hoping to achieve, I'm just going to shake up some of these greens. I'm using light-bodied craft acrylics. They dry matte. I enjoy them. I'm not too precious with them. I'm actually not precious at all with them because they are inexpensive, but at the same time, I'm used to the way they move and the way they work with each other. Like you wouldn't get the same mixing color quality as you would heavier body, more professional acrylics, but I don't care. I don't need that. This is still going to be a great piece, if not a great exercise, and the finished piece might be so amazing that I put it in a shop. Okay. So now I've got some greens, different kinds. We'll see what happens. I just sort of grabbed and squirted onto my page. Oh, this looks fun. This is a bright gold, but I don't know how to look, so we'll just get a little of it. Okay. You know what? I am going to put some red on my palette so that I can tone down some of these shades if I need to. So when I think of Monstera plants, I really just think about that sort of gap in between the leaves. So, and I believe it's kind of like this shape. Like this would be the gap in the leaf and this would be the leaf. But I don't want to be obvious about the leaf. That. I just want to sort of capture the essence of, for this piece anyways. I chose houseplants because, you know, I think a lot of people enjoy them. We have, at my house, we have a couple of shelves of plants. I don't take care of them or do much with them because I'm not, that's not me. My partner is very good at taking care of the plants. I have to avoid this looking like a big sheet of green by the time we get to the end. Okay, string of pearl. Now, I remember a trip to the greenhouse and during the winter time and saying, "Oh, those are so pretty, string of pearls plants," and they're kind of like succulent style, I believe. But it didn't last very long in our house, and I don't know if that was just an uncertainty of care or if it was something to do with our climate, our home climate. Okay. But what I kind of liked about the string of pearls is, well, the description is fun, and it's kind of like a juicy plant. And I have no idea how this is going to turn out. It could just be a big old muddy mess. But the process will help determine, you know, how much fun we get out of this. I'm going to take some of this earthing that out a bit. I think I like that better than that. And I don't know too many other kinds of plants other than leafy ones and cactus, and so I'll just throw in some kind of leaf shapes. I should try to represent like a variegated leaf. Okay, I think I'd like to take a break from green, just so that it does not overwhelm the page. I'm just going to take a moment to dry. One thing I try not to do is I try not to be obligated to use any paint that I've poured. It's just a daub of paint, it can go to waste. And even then it's not really going to waste, it's just doing a different job. So I've grabbed a cappuccino color and a sky blue, maybe to represent dirt and daylight. And I'm coming in with a smaller brush and just making some different marks. And these marks will help inform my next decisions. I kind of feel like this is going to be a focal point down here, but I don't want to prescribe what's going to happen, but just in case, let's put some defining marks around different focal areas. We'll see what happens. Oops. This just made me think of a little critter walking through a garden, little footprints. Let's see what we can do with the blue. Keep looking back into my viewfinder on my digital display just to kind of see a different point of view from the piece, even though just if I see it smaller, then it's kind of a new and interesting way to look at things. I don't know what. Mix these two together, see what happens. If I feel like I'm thinking about an area too long, I'm going to leave, because we're not ready to start tightening up. Although I do like the way this Cappuccino and Sky Blue are making this kind of a warm gray color on my palette. So I will pop that in. Okay, I kind of found myself going, oh, what now, what now? So I don't know, like I don't have an obvious intuitive kind of idea, so I'm gonna grab some white. I'm going to water it down a bit, and I'm gonna try to work on those focal points that I think are happening. Grab some of that fluorescent yellow again too, just to see if I could keep it from being too boring. Oh. Yeah, I like that real definition of space over there. A lot of the marks that I make are repeated from piece to piece, but they never are the same, so I think those decisions to do that are okay. Look at that, it looks like an aerial view of a city, and that's how I know I'm feeling good about it. I really like those. I think that will help inform my next step, which is to get those sort of sentiments of plants back into the page. Okay, well, I'm gonna go in with my some of my original idea of color with the greens, but I don't want to be too obvious, like I said before. Just inspired by plants, and I think that's what I'm ending up with. Whoops. I think that when ideas pop into our head, we need to kind of do them justice. So my head said get a warmer green in there, or a cooler green in there, so I picked this loose viridian color, and it's just a little bit more of a bluey green, and now I'm actually mixing the two. So and this corner definitely needs something. You know, working with this fluorescent yellow has been kind of a nice surprise, and I think I'm going to come back to it with some of that bright red. I really like these pieces. So I'm going to see if I can pull some of that over here. And I'm going to go back to my bigger brush. Yeah. I feel like my mind is intuitively dialing back the brown color, so maybe there's something to be said when it comes to this piece. Alright, I feel like I've kind of lost my focal points again. Or not lost them, but what do you call that? Like the ebb and flow, the push and pull. So I think I want to try lightening up some areas again. There we go. Gives her eye something to explore and settle on. I've definitely got 4 different quadrants going, like with different things happening in them, but I do want to still transition from space to space. So I'm taking an opportunity to do that now as I finish up the piece. Oh, and that's some great texture happening there. Highlight that. All right. I think we'll use a colored pencil to finish off the rest. Okay, I've got a really dark green, chrome oxide, if you want to know. And I am going to make a mark, or start making marks. That explore different focal points and areas of the page. I'm not thinking too much about this, just the same as when we first started the piece. I'm just letting my fingers and pencil do things, but I don't want it to look too, oh, I just grabbed a random color. I didn't even give it much thought. I don't want it to look too intentional, I guess, but I do want to have some fun with it. And I see a pink that I want to play with. And what's this? That's a black. So going to dial this back a little bit. We're going to come in with some final color, and which is a good thing because I think I would feel better if we did that. Sometimes it's not about what we like, but actually more about what we don't like. And I think I got a little heavy-handed with the colored pencil. Just happen to have some white left on my I like that there. Alright, overall I think I am feeling good with that. I'm going to give it a final dry, then we'll pull up the tape and see if any last moment changes need to happen. All right, there's the piece with the tape up. Here it is from a different perspective. If at any point you were thinking, oh, she shouldn't have done that, or oh, if it were me, I would have done this. I think that's awesome, and definitely an opportunity for you to explore what marks you would make, and try a piece like this, and really just explore different colors. It can get overwhelming. There's lots of color choices to be made, and sometimes you end up with a muddy mess, but the best way to learn is by doing. So learn by doing. Thank you for hanging out with me today.
Yeah.